It was supposed to be just another Saturday night for Claire, a chance to finally meet someone who might understand her heart. She sat alone at a little corner table in a cozy restaurant, her hands nervously folding the paper napkin over and over. The waiter had already come by twice asking if she wanted to order, and she kept smiling, saying softly, "He'll be here soon." But as the minutes turned into an hour, the candle on her table burned lower. Around her, couples laughed, glasses clinked, and the world kept spinning. But for Claire, everything felt frozen. She checked her phone again. Nothing. Not a text, not a call. Just silence. She told herself not to cry, not here, not tonight. But just when she thought the night couldn't feel any emptier, the bell above the restaurant door chimed. And in walked a little girl. Alone. Holding a crumpled napkin in her tiny hand. She walked straight to Claire's table, looked up with big brown eyes, and said, "My daddy's sorry he's late." Hey everyone, before we dive into this emotional story, take a second to subscribe to your channel name, where we share inspiring true stories about kindness, love, and second chances. Don't forget to hit that like button if you believe kindness can change someone's life, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your stories too. Claire blinked in surprise. She looked around, half expecting to see a man rushing in behind the little girl. But there was no one. The child, maybe 5 or 6 years old, stood there in a pink coat and sneakers, her hair tied in messy pigtails. "Sweetheart," Claire said gently, "are you lost?" The girl shook her head. "No. Daddy told me to come tell you he's parking the car. He said you looked really pretty." Claire couldn't help but smile through her confusion. "Did he now?" The little girl nodded seriously and climbed into the chair across from her like she'd been invited. "He said to keep you company." Claire laughed softly. "Well, that's very sweet of him." The waiter came by again, and Claire ordered 2 lemonades, one for her and one for her new little friend. The girl thanked her politely and started coloring on the napkin with a crayon from her pocket. "What's your name?" Claire asked. "Emma," she said proudly. "What's yours?" "Claire." "Claire," Emma repeated, as if testing the sound. "My daddy says names are special. They tell stories." Claire smiled. "Your daddy sounds very wise." "He is," Emma said with a grin. "But he's bad with time." They both laughed. Minutes passed, but the man didn't appear. Claire's phone still stayed silent. Part of her wondered if this was some kind of joke, or maybe a misunderstanding. But something about Emma, her warmth, her honesty, made her stay. After a while, Claire asked softly, "Emma, where's your mom?" The little girl's crayon froze mid-stroke. She looked down at the napkin. "Mommy's in heaven," she whispered. Claire's heart tightened. "Oh, sweetie. I'm so sorry." "It's okay," Emma said in the small, brave voice only a child can manage. "Daddy says she watches us when we miss her too much." Claire nodded, her eyes misting. "He sounds like a really good dad." "He is," Emma said, smiling proudly again. "He works a lot, though. He says he wants to make sure I have everything I need. But sometimes, I just want pancakes." Claire chuckled. "Pancakes are important." Just then, the restaurant door opened again. A tall man in his late 30s, with kind eyes and a tired smile, rushed in. He spotted Emma and let out a breath of relief. "There you are," he said, kneeling beside her chair. "Emma, sweetheart, I told you to wait outside." Emma looked up innocently. "You were taking too long, Daddy." Claire smiled, realizing this was her blind date. The man looked up at her, embarrassed. "You must be Claire." "I'm so sorry. My babysitter canceled last minute, and I didn't want to cancel on you. I thought maybe I could bring her along for a minute, just to say hi, but—" Claire interrupted with a gentle laugh. "It's okay. We've already made friends." The tension in his shoulders eased. He introduced himself, his name was Daniel, and sat down, still apologizing between breaths. Emma leaned against him, looking up with sleepy eyes. "Daddy, can we have pancakes?" Daniel smiled at her. Maybe tomorrow, kiddo. Claire says pancakes are important, she said seriously. He laughed. Oh, she does, huh? Then we might have to listen to her. The three of them talked for another hour. What began as an awkward, missed connection slowly turned into something beautiful. Claire learned Daniel was a widower who'd lost his wife 2 years ago. He hadn't gone on a date since, until tonight. He told her he wasn't sure if he was ready, but his late wife had always told him, don't close your heart forever. Someone kind will come along. As they talked, Claire realized kindness wasn't always grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it was sitting across from a man who still carried his grief like a quiet shadow, and seeing his little girl smile again. When the check came, Daniel reached for his wallet, but Claire stopped him. Let me, she said softly. You already brought the best company. He smiled at her, and for the first time in a long while, it reached his eyes. Outside, the night air was cool and still. Emma reached up and took Claire's hand. Will you come again? She asked. Claire hesitated, then squeezed her little hand. I'd like that. Daddy likes you, Emma whispered loudly, grinning. Daniel blushed. Emma. Claire laughed. It's okay. I like him too. They said goodnight, and as Claire walked back to her car, she realized something. The night that began in loneliness had ended with warmth. A blind date that should have been a disaster had turned into a memory, one wrapped in kindness, innocence, and unexpected connection. Over the next few weeks, Claire and Daniel started meeting more often. Sometimes it was for coffee, sometimes at the park with Emma. They took things slow, not out of fear, but out of respect for what they were both healing from. Emma grew attached to Claire quickly. One afternoon, she ran up to her with a drawing, a stick figure family of 3 holding hands. Above it, in crayon letters, it said, me, Daddy, and Miss Claire. Claire tried not to cry. This is beautiful, sweetheart. Emma smiled proudly. Daddy says kindness makes families, not just names. Those words stayed with Claire for a long time. Because in that small act, a child's drawing, a man's quiet hope, a woman's open heart, there was a truth bigger than love itself. Kindness doesn't just connect strangers. It rebuilds lives. It fills empty tables. It gives people permission to try again. One evening, months later, they went back to that same restaurant. The waiter recognized them and smiled. Table for 3, he asked. Daniel looked at Claire, then at Emma, who nodded eagerly. Table for 3, he said with a grin. As they sat down, Claire noticed the candlelight flickering, just like that first night. Only this time, the seat across from her wasn't empty. Emma was busy drawing on another napkin, and Daniel reached across the table, gently taking Claire's hand. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? She asked. For not leaving that night. For being kind when you didn't have to be. Claire smiled. Kindness has a funny way of finding you when you need it most. And it had. For both of them. Conclusion. Sometimes, kindness doesn't look like what we expect. It might walk in wearing little pink sneakers, holding a crumpled napkin, saying, my daddy's sorry he's late. It might show up in the middle of heartbreak, or at the end of a long wait. But when it does, it changes everything. So the next time life leaves you sitting at an empty table, remember, kindness might already be on its way. Maybe in the form of a stranger, maybe in the laughter of a child, maybe in the courage to stay open when it would be easier to walk away. Because kindness isn't just something we give. It's something we live. And sometimes, it's the reason love finds us again. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to your channel name. Share this story with someone who could use a reminder that kindness still matters, because it truly does.